Today, we're going to talk about why pirates actually loved pearls, how they stole them straight from the source in the 1500s, and how Hollywood turned these legends into movie gold.
Our men died for gold, but they killed for pearls. One black gem of the sea could buy a kingdom, or curse you to the briny deep.
Stay aboard, lads. This be the story of the pearl that sank 1,000 ships. And a ship that was worth 1,000 pearls.
Hey everyone, it's Matt Harris here, pearl historian, designer, and Johnny Depp's backup in case the role didn't quite work out. And I think I would have been a great and stylish pirate. As you know, I can relate pearls to pretty much anything. So grab your compass and your sense of adventure because this story has more layers than a South Sea pearl. Let's start with the most famous ship in movie history and the movie that almost got men to wear eyeliner. In Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl was a ship said to be as fast as the wind and as dark as the devil's heart. But the name wasn't random. Kudos to the Disney writers. They must have done their homework. And here's why I say that. In the 1500s and 1600s, pearls were among the rarest and most coveted gems on Earth. Many came from the islands and coastlines of areas like Panama and Venezuela. And to own one was to flaunt power, wealth, and danger. So, calling the ship the Black Pearl, well, that was a branding genius. It meant I'm rare, I'm untouchable, I'm mysterious, and I'll take what I want. Did you know that before gold became the star of every treasure map, pearls were the luxury currency, and through much of history, pearls were worth more than gold. When Columbus set sail in 1492, he was funded by the King and Queen of Spain, and Queen Isabella handed him a list of 5 treasures that she wanted him to bring back to her. Topping that list, I bet you saw this coming. Yes, pearls, not gold, spice, or silk, but pearls. Now, it took him a few voyages to finally discover them, but eventually he did off the coast of Venezuela. The Spanish called them perlas de mar, which is pearls of the sea, and by the early 1500s, they were obsessed. So, what did Spain do? Well, they didn't just trade, they invaded. The Pearl Coast, as it became known, quickly became populated with Spanish conquistadors, and they enslaved the indigenous divers, forcing them to dive 40, 50 feet down without air tanks over and over to rip pearls from oysters. And as you can imagine, many died from drowning, shark attacks, or just sheer exhaustion. But the hunger for pearls back home was overwhelming. As the Spanish Empire's pearl ships loaded up, well, word spread. And what happens when you have ships with the most valuable commodity in the world sailing the high seas? Well, you invite pirates.
Remember, we're after the pearls! Aye, Captain!
You may have heard about Sir Francis Drake and Henry Morgan if you went to grade school here in the USA, but what you didn't learn is that these guys weren't just chasing gold and discovering new lands, they were raiding Spanish fleets stacked with pearls bound for Seville. Pearls were easy to hide, too. You could swallow them or you could sew them into clothing. Makes me wonder if next time I try that when I go through customs. We've talked a lot about the Thomas Crown affair lately. Now, there wasn't a pearl in that movie, but that might describe the psychology behind the royalty in Europe who desired these pearls so bad that they would have people pirate them. Pearls are light, easy to move, and impossible to trace. They were the pirates' Bitcoin of the 1500s. Okay, do you want to hear something fascinating? And that is that Columbus discovered an island where many of the region's pearls came from, and he named it Isla Margarita. Yes, it's real, and no, it was not named after the drink. So, some people say that he named it after the Infanta Margarita of Austria, and in the biggest coincidence of the 1500s, he was unaware that Margarita is derived from the Greco-Roman word for pearl. Other people say that he knew that and he named it after pearls. I'm thinking he didn't, so it's still kind of contested. But by the 1520s, this tiny island off of Venezuela produced tons of pearls. Spain grew rich, so did the pirates who raided the Spaniards, and eventually these pearls ended up in royal collections across Europe. Catherine de' Medici, Elizabeth I, Their portraits show ropes of pearls that are believed to be snatched by their hired pirates from the Spanish fleet. And even the great La Peregrina pearl, the famous teardrop-shaped gem that Elizabeth Taylor owned, was found by a slave diver near Panama around 1513 and gifted to King Philip II of Spain. Now, fast forward a few centuries, Hollywood took the pirate pearl connection and they ran with it. In Pirates of the Caribbean, the black pearl symbolizes freedom, but curse. It's beautiful, rare, but edgy, just like a black Tahitian pearl. Let's look at Moana. It gives a subtle nod to Polynesian pearl divers, explorers who risked everything for these little treasures of the sea. And even Le Pen couldn't resist. And if you haven't seen it, watch it, especially now that the Louvre has been heisted. I hear they're coming out with a new season next spring. And in episode 3, we are introduced to a black pearl, supposedly retrieved during the Franco-Tahitian War of 1815. But here's a message to the Le Pen writers. Call me next time, guys, because that war wasn't in 1815. It was a few decades later. And a flawless 20-plus millimeter natural black pearl in the 1800s would be pretty much impossible. But symbolically, brilliant, rare, dark, and dangerously beautiful, exactly what every pirate or professional thief dreams of stealing. So, pearls keep showing up in these stories because they're dual symbols, purity and temptation, light and shadow. And to a pirate, a pearl wasn't just a treasure, it was proof that you conquered the sea. So back to the Pearl Coast. Well, what happened by the late 1500s? The natural beds of Venezuelan and Panama pearls were stripped bare. Entire ecosystems were destroyed, and the pearl boom ended as fast as it began. But pearls kept their mystique. They became the ultimate trophy gem, small enough to steal, valuable enough to kill for, and mysterious enough to inspire stories century later. So when you see Captain Jack Sparrow obsessing over his famous ship, you're looking at echoes of real history, oceans that glittered with greed, power, and beauty, and pirates obsessed with pearls. So the next time you see a black pearl, whether it's in a necklace or on the bow of a ghost ship, just remember this. Every pearl has a story, and that's part of what makes pearls the most interesting, important, influential, and expensive gems in history. If you love this little dive into pirate history, well, hit that like button and subscribe, because I've got more true-to-life pearl stories that, frankly, Hollywood should be following. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Drink up me hearty Joe.